I'm here to talk to you about how to use the Micro-Focus High Availability Fileshare technology, HA-VSAM, to improve reliability and transactional integrity whilst intelligently coordinating workload in your CICS VSAM applications. Let's start by having a look at a typical architecture for a transactional CICS VSAM application. Firstly, you have an enterprise server instance hosting the definitions for your business application, along with the resources required. Next, you'll have users interacting with your enterprise server instance. Finally, you'll also need to have a Fileshare server present to enable transactional file handling. The users can dispatch requests with any of our supported protocols, such as TN3270 or web services requests. Enterprise server will communicate its request to the Fileshare using CCI, either TCP/IP or shared memory. In this model, the Fileshare server will process any received requests, updating data files on the local disk, along with the transaction log entries to be used in the event of a recovery. Now, let's extend this design to include integrated Fileshare, an instance of Fileshare hosted by an enterprise server region. Using this approach, external regions can still send CCI requests to Fileshare as before, but now requests can also be vectored directly to the Fileshare process from within the region using an internal transport mechanism rather than using CCI. Hosting your Fileshare server with an enterprise server offers many benefits, including more robust security by authorizing users using enterprise server security, more intelligent scheduling and processing of workload, and increased levels of diagnostics and maintenance. And since this is an enterprise server instance, your users can schedule your CICS transactions in a Fileshare hosting region all of the ways they usually can with other regions. If we bring together a group of Fileshare hosting enterprise server regions, then we end up with a high availability configuration, with nodes in the group constantly working towards maintaining data consistency, ensuring transactional integrity, and reducing downtime. Here's how it works. As before, we have our external enterprise server instance, and our users interacting with it. But now we have 3 Fileshare hosting enterprise server regions instead of just 1. Together, these will form our high availability group. In our configuration, our requests will be dispatched to a primary server, with these Fileshares acting as hot standby nodes. Our primary Fileshare will service the requests it receives in the same way a single instance normally would, generating the VSAM data and transaction log entries locally, but now we'll maintain our backups by replicating the data and log entries to local copies on each host. The benefit of this comes in the event of a hardware failure on a primary host. Here we can see that the primary node has been lost. Once this happens, the remaining standby nodes will share information between themselves about the state of the system. Once a quorum has been reached, the most suitable standby will take over as primary. After this process has completed, the external CICS region will be able to automatically reconnect to the new primary region, with minimal disruption to the current workload. In addition to this failover processing, the now disabled node can rejoin the high availability group as a hot standby. Once it is restarted, then we will use the contents of the transaction log to bring the VSAM files back to an integral state. Once this process has completed, we will replay any in-flight operations and request a log shipment from the new primary. Once this log shipment has been completed, then the restarted node is fully recovered and rejoins the group as a hot standby. Now let's have a look at how this works in practice. Here we have some enterprise server regions defined, one external CICS region, and the 3 regions which will form our high availability group. In each of our regions, we have some configuration options specified that we can use to adjust the behavior of our regions in the group, as well as the behavior of the group as a whole. Switching to the ES Monitor and Control view, we can inspect the state of each Fileshare hosting region. Here we can see that this region is currently operating as a primary. Switching to the control page, we can see a view of the state of the entire group, including the connection status to each of the other servers and their role within the group. You can also execute many of the FSView commands already offered by standalone Fileshare directly from this menu, as well as through the original command line interface. Here we can find out more information about things like the current state of the Fileshare, or which files are currently being accessed. Let's have a look at the failover in action. Here I have a Roomba session connected to a TN3270 listener on my external CICS region. This demo banking application is accessing VSAM files hosted by my high availability group. Let's update a record for this user and see what happens when we simulate losing the primary file share in the group. Now that the record has been updated, we'll kill the primary CAS manager process and have a look at what happens to the other regions in the group. You can see that the remaining standbys have lost their connection to the old primary. After sharing information about their state to each other, they then wait for long enough to make sure the lost connection won't be re-established. Now that this process has completed, one of the standbys is taking over as the new primary. Let's verify this by checking the ES monitor and control page again. You can now see that this node is a primary. Now if we continue our Roomba session, let's see if the update we made is reflected in the current state of the data. You can see here that the data contains the updates we made on the old primary, and that we have silently reconnected to the new primary. Now let's see what happens when we restart our lost node. Once it has managed to reconnect to the other members of the group, the data files are recovered, and a log update is requested from the new primary. Once this is complete, the server has properly rejoined the group. Thanks for taking this time to learn about our high availability file share solution. If you want to find out more, please read our online documentation for instructions on how to get started.